In this Track and Trade 5.0 Futures Trading Training video, I want to start by demonstrating for you how to draw some of our charting tools. Now what you see on the screen is you see that we've got cotton open, and you see cotton's been going in a nice trend, and if we want to use some of our markup tools to help us remember some of our thought processes, that's what these drawing tools up here are meant to do. The first drawing tool is just a simple crosshair that we can draw on the chart. By holding down the left mouse button and scrolling it around on the screen, you can put the crosshair tool wherever you desire. Now, if you have the third tab selected, you'll notice that you have all the preferences for the crosshair tool. We can come in here and turn on or turn off the horizontal line, or turn on or turn off the vertical line. We can change the font size if we would like, and notice that everything that we do is immediately reflected on the screen. So there's a lot of features and a lot of things that you can do with each individual tool, and those settings are all controlled over here in the left control panel. We can also right-click on the tool, of course, and hit delete. The next tool is just a simple trend line. If we want to draw a simple trend line on the screen, we have the ability of clicking and dragging and releasing the mouse, and it gives us a nice simple trend line to highlight an individual trend within the market. Now there's another feature that we can do in here. We can come in here with the trend line, and we can pick 2 points on any given trend. For example, we can come in and select the lowest point, and we can also select up here and drag it to the next lowest point, so we have a small point in here. Then come over here to linear extensions, click the linear extensions, and it will draw a linear extension line that jumps out to the edges of the chart based on those 2 points. Now of course you can move those points if you would like to a different section, or recalculate it to any section or any price point that you would like, and you're going to get your linear extensions. Of course we can right click on the tool and hit the delete key. The next one is a multi-line tool. If you're just trying to highlight or outline a simple trend of some sort, you have the access to a multi-line tool. We can click, 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 and you'll notice each time you click, it just draws another line. Once you get to the final area where you no longer want to have an additional line, rather than left clicking, if you right click, that stops the tool from continuing. And you'll notice that we also have all the settings for the multi-line tool over here in the left control panel window. Now I'm just going to hit the delete key on the keyboard, and notice because it has handles on it, the little squares on each place, it will delete that tool off the screen. The next tool is the 1, 2, 3 tool. Now the 1, 2, 3 tool is a very powerful tool, but in its simplicity, one of the things we use it for is to identify tops and bottoms in trends. So we use it to highlight different trends. So here we go. This is the 1, 2, 3 top formation. You notice the number 1 point is an annual high. The first drawdown is the number 2 point, and we highlight that by drawing that in there. The number 3 point is the pullback on that region, and of course you can notice and you see that this number right here, if you have it turned on over here in the control panel, shows you that it was a 45.1% retracement. And then it gives you a projection of how far out we anticipate this market dropping to. And of course you can see this is the 100% level, and this is the 90% level. Now of course you can come in, and those are all user definable fields, and you can change those within the control panel over here in the ABC tool. I'm going to just select that. I'm going to hit delete on the delete key, remove that from our screen, and the next tool is a head and shoulders tool. Now the head and shoulders tool, let's see if we have a chart that has a head and shoulders on it. Let's come over here to the feeder cattle contract. Now a head and shoulders tool is a tool. I'm going to back the chart up a little bit. This is kind of a little head and shoulders in here. And we're going to come in here and highlight. This is the left shoulder, and we simply do this by left clicking. We find the lowest point of the first drawback, and that is the neckline, first neckline. We click on that. We pull it up to the highest point, and that's the head. Pull back to the next neckline. And when we click, you'll notice that it immediately draws in there for us a trend line. We identify the right shoulder, and we click on that. And that gives us this neckline area, and of course this is how we outline or define a reversal point. And of course a break below that neckline right there is an indication the market has changed from bullish to bearish, and that would be a sell signal. We'd get in the market short on a break below that position. So that's a head and shoulders tool, and of course that can be a head and shoulders top or a head and shoulders bottom. And if you come in here and look, we also have a head and shoulders bottom. We start off with the left shoulder, the neckline, the head, the neckline, and back down to the right shoulder, and of course a break above the neckline. This would be an indication that the market has changed from bearish to bullish. So those are a couple of tools that are very handy for us and how you draw them. The next one is just a simple narrow sideways channel. Let's go back over to cotton. A narrow sideways channel is a market that's just simply going sideways, and all we want to do is bracket that market and draw a couple of trend lines at the top and the bottom of that market. And you'll notice we had a breakout at the top right here of this trend line, and of course we had a breakout at the bottom right here. This would be a buy signal. Of course, this is what we'd call a false breakout. And then this would be a sell signal where we'd reverse our position and go short for the short side. So that's a narrow sideways channel. The next tool that I want to show you is the 50% tool. Now what this does is it just retraces for us, or just measures for us, the distance between 2 points and where the 50% level is. Markets have a tendency to move 50% of the last major move, or retrace 50% of the last major move. So here we have a market that's gone from 0 to 100, and then it retraced back down to 50%. So that's a nice tool just for measuring purposes. The next tool is a simple channel tool, and it helps us identify channels, and we can do it with a downside channel by clicking at the top, at the bottom of the channel, drawing our lower trend line all the way down, clicking one more time and bringing the top trend line. It's a simple and easy way to draw a nice little channel over the top of a given area of support and resistance. I'm going to delete that tool by right-clicking on it and hitting delete. The next tool I want to show you is a simple little triangle tool, and there's lots of triangles in this market. We love triangles, and the way we draw a triangle tool to help us outline a triangle, we simply find the highest point and the lowest point of the triangle, and then we drag out the point of the triangle. And then of course the breaking of the triangle is our signal, in this case, to go short the market. So the breaking of that trend line, the breaking of that triangle, is a sell signal, and that's where we'd get in short this market. So I am going to go, and the next one I want to show you is just the simple trend fan tool. The trend fan tool is used to identify areas of support and resistance. We start at the low or the high of a trend, and we usually use 3 different trends. When we go across the top of the trend, we find the center point of the trend, and then we find the lowest point of the trend. We right-click the last trend, the last fan, and that stops the fan from continuing to draw. And so what we have is we have a left click, and then a right click. And you can see that this would be a area where we would consider that the market is changing from bullish to bearish, and this would be a sell signal on a break below the 3rd trend line right there. And that would take us short this market. So those are some of the simple tools available for us for drawing recurring price patterns within Track and Trade.